The archaeological dig had been routine until the team unearthed a centuries-old knight's armor. Encased in dirt and rust, it stood as a silent sentinel of history. Dr. Collins, the lead archaeologist, approached with excitement and reverence, his mind racing with the stories this artifact might reveal. As he peered inside the helmet, his heart nearly stopped. Unable to believe what he was seeing, something about the armor they had uncovered stirred his curiosity. It wasn't just the age or the craftsmanship, it was the aura of mystery that seemed to cling to it. As he crouched down for a closer look, his breath caught in his throat. The armor's intricate designs were barely visible beneath the grime, but Dr. Collins knew it was a rare find. He called for his assistant, but the words seemed to stick in his throat. A growing sense of unease gnawed at him as he lifted the helmet. He adjusted his gloves, his fingers brushing against something that didn't belong, smooth, delicate, almost hidden. The parchment was sealed with an old wax stamp, its symbol faded but still discernible. What could be so important that it had been hidden away inside a knight's helmet for centuries? Before we start, smash the like button and make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and hit that notification bell so that you won't miss any new stories. The team gathered around as Dr. Collins slowly opened the parchment, their eyes fixed on his every movement. His hands trembled slightly as he carefully unfolded the delicate paper. The writing was in a language he didn't immediately recognize completely, but the urgency in the words he did recognize was unmistakable. A shiver ran down his spine as he realized the parchment wasn't just a letter, it was a warning. Dr. Collins tucked the parchment into his jacket, unwilling to share what he had found just yet. His assistant, Sarah, noticed his unease and gave him a questioning glance, but he waved her off with a forced smile. "Just old writing," he muttered, trying to downplay his discovery. But his mind was racing, and he couldn't shake the feeling that this was the start of something dangerous. As the day wore on, Dr. Collins remained distant, his thoughts consumed by the letter hidden in his jacket. That evening, Dr. Collins locked himself in his tent, the letter spread out on the table before him. He had a few references that might help him decipher the language, but it would take time. As he worked late into the night, he felt the presence of the letter growing larger in his mind, its message gnawing at his consciousness. Dr. Collins hardly slept, his dreams haunted by the knight's armor and the secrets it guarded. By morning, the camp was buzzing with activity, but he could barely focus. He had decoded a small portion of the letter, enough to understand its grave implications. As the day began, he resolved to keep the discovery to himself. For now, with dawn breaking, Dr. Collins knew he needed expert help. The contents of the parchment were too cryptic, its language too ancient for him to decipher alone. He reached for his phone and discreetly contacted Dr. Emily Harris, a trusted linguistics professor. "Emily, I need your help with something big," he said, his voice tinged with urgency. After a brief explanation, without too many details, she agreed to meet him at a local cafe near the dig site. Dr. Collins arrived early at the cafe, his mind racing with thoughts. When Dr. Harris walked in, her curiosity was evident. They exchanged brief pleasantries before he handed her the parchment. Emily's eyes widened with interest as she carefully unfolded it, her fingers tracing the ancient script. "This is a significant find, Doctor." "Collins," she whispered, her voice barely audible over the clinking coffee cups, "but we need more context to understand it fully." Her words hung heavy in the air, adding weight to the document they both knew was far more than just aged parchment. They both knew the importance of keeping their work under wraps. "We should keep this between us, Doctor," Collins suggested. Dr. Harris nodded in agreement. As they left the cafe, the gravity of their task hung over them. This secret could change everything they knew about history. That evening found Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris hunched over ancient texts and linguistic references in a dimly lit room. "This phrase here," Dr. Harris pointed out, "seems to be a form of Old English, but with elements I've never seen." Piece by piece, they began decoding parts of the letter. Slowly, the cryptic lines revealed snippets of information, driving their curiosity further. As they decoded more, the contents of the letter became clearer. It spoke of a high-ranking noble's betrayal and a plot to overthrow a king, events that radically altered history. "This isn't just significant, it's monumental," Dr. Harris exclaimed, her voice filled with astonishment. "We need to store this securely for further examination," Dr. Collins suggested. They agreed, understanding the implications of such a find. A secure storage arrangement was made, hidden from prying eyes and potential thieves. "Better safe than sorry, Doctor," Harris said, locking the storage unit. The sense of danger was palpable, but so was their commitment to uncovering the truth. Back at the dig site, rumors about the knight's armor started to circulate among the team. Whispers of hidden secrets and historical treasures buzzed in the air, raising the tension. Dr. Collins stayed tight-lipped, his demeanor more guarded than usual. The weight of the parchment's implications loomed over him. Sarah, Dr. Collins' assistant, was particularly curious about his secretive behavior. "What's going on with you, Dr. Collins?" she asked, trying to pry information from him. He evaded her questions, offering only vague responses. "Just routine work," he muttered. But Sarah wasn't convinced. She watched him with growing suspicion, her curiosity barely contained. Dr. Collins felt the pressure mounting. Interrupting his thoughts, Dr. Collins received a mysterious phone call from an unidentified number. The voice on the other end was unfamiliar, but the message was chillingly clear. "Be careful who you trust." He glanced around, uneasy, the warning echoing in his mind. Could someone already know about their discovery? Determined to protect their find, Dr. Collins rented a secure storage unit in a nearby town. He didn't tell anyone but Dr. Harris, wanting to ensure the parchment's safety. "We need to work undisturbed," he told her, handing her the key. She nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. This wasn't just about historical curiosity anymore. It was about security and potential ramifications far beyond their imagination. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris drove to the storage unit, the precious parchment safely in hand. They set up their workspace meticulously, knowing that one wrong move could damage the fragile document. "Handle it carefully, Doctor," Collins advised as they unpacked it, laying it flat on the table. They examined the parchment once more, the room silent but for the sound of their breathing and the rustling of old paper. As they analyzed the parchment more deeply, names and locations crucial to the letter's plot began to emerge. Each discovery seemed to raise the stakes higher. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris knew they had to cross-reference the places mentioned in the parchment with historical records. The blood drained from his face as he read, his heart pounding. "We're being threatened," he told Dr. Harris, showing her the email. Unsure of how serious the threat was, Dr. Collins decided to contact local law enforcement. He dialed the police station, speaking with a calm yet urgent tone. "We'll provide surveillance without drawing attention," Reynolds assured him. Dr. Collins felt a flicker of relief, but knew their secret was still vulnerable. "With police surveillance discreetly in place, Doctor." Collins and Dr. Harris resumed decoding the letter, their concentration undeterred by the lurking danger. The added layer of security provided a bit of comfort, allowing them to focus more intensely. Excitement surged as they deciphered the final crucial parts of the parchment. "It's a royal conspiracy," Dr. Harris said, piecing together the timeline. The betrayal in the parchment had ripple effects that extended into present times, threatening influential institutions. Their initial excitement was now mingled with caution. They knew revealing this information came with significant risks. "We have to be careful," Dr. Harris advised. They were custodians of a truth that could send shock waves through history. Just as they pieced together the significance of their discovery, Mark ambushed them, his intentions clear. "Hand over the parchment," he demanded, eyes gleaming with greed. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris were caught off guard, but they stood firm. "We know what you're up to, Mark," Dr. Collins countered, holding the parchment protectively. The tension reached a boiling point, and just as the situation seemed dire, Officer Reynolds appeared, his presence a timely intervention. Officer Reynolds' timely intervention could not have come at a better moment. He quickly subdued Mark, whose defiance melted into resignation in the presence of law enforcement. Dr. Collins clutched the parchment protectively, as if the centuries-old document depended entirely on his grip for its survival. The following morning, Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris presented their findings to government historians. The gravity of their discovery was immediately acknowledged. Journalists and experts alike listened intently as they revealed the centuries-old conspiracy they had painstakingly decoded. Dr. Collins knew this was just the beginning of something much larger. Dr. Collins was hailed as a hero for his invaluable contribution to historical knowledge. Awards and accolades flowed in, but he couldn't shake a feeling of cautiousness. Historians started drawing parallels between past betrayals and contemporary issues, causing a stir among scholars and officials alike. The team's discovery eventually went public, reshaping historical narratives and uncovering centuries-old secrets. Amid the widespread attention, Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris knew their work was far from over. They felt a strange mix of pride and apprehension as centuries-old truths finally came to light, waiting to see what would unfold next. Despite the public reveal, Officer Reynolds continued to provide protection. The implications of their work were still unfolding, and the risk had not diminished. "We're not out of the woods yet," Officer Reynolds warned, his demeanor somber but determined. Dr. Collins appreciated the steady presence of the law enforcement, which allowed them some peace of mind. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris traveled extensively, sharing their story and insights with academic and public audiences. Invitations to speak at conferences and workshops became routine, and their presentations captivated listeners with the depth of their findings. At every stop, they highlighted the profound implications of their discovery and emphasized the need for vigilance in historical research. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris remained dedicated to uncovering and preserving historical truths. Their unwavering commitment guided their every decision, ensuring that their work was both thorough and ethical. Despite the government accolades, Dr. Collins remained wary. He and Dr. Harris were fully aware that their discovery had unsettled powerful entities. They knew that even as heroes, they were still potential targets. Caution became their constant companion, a necessary shield as they navigated their newfound prominence. Their discovery quickly became a cornerstone in historical research. Academics around the world delved into the newly revealed data, understanding its profound implications. Journals buzzed with articles dissecting the find, and universities adjusted curricula to include this groundbreaking information. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris watched with a mix of pride and caution, knowing their effort had changed historical understanding forever. Yet the silent dangers lurking in their periphery kept them vigilant. Undeterred by past threats, Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris continued exploring hidden corners of history. They took on more projects, each discovery feeding their passion. Their dynamic partnership grew stronger with every find. "There's always more to uncover," Dr. Collins said, eyes gleaming with determination. With each new puzzle piece they added to the historical tapestry, their resolve to protect and reveal the truth remained unshaken. Their unwavering dedication ensured that significant parts of history were preserved for future generations. The lessons gleaned from their discovery emphasized the delicate balance between revealing hidden truths and ensuring their protection. Their work became a beacon for scholars, guiding a new era of cautious and conscientious historical research. Dr. Collins and Dr. Harris knew that while they had safeguarded the past, the future of historical exploration would need similar tenacity and care.